Friedrich Merz, the man set to lead Germany's next government, says strengthening Europe and reducing its dependence on the United States will be his top priorities when he takes office. His remarks come as relations between the two continents are undergoing a historic shift. Deutsche Welle reporter Kate Ferguson joins us now from Berlin. Kate, g'day. So tell us a bit about Germany's next Chancellor. Who is Friedrich Merz?
So he's a 69-year-old, a long-time Conservative who resumed his political career a few years ago, actually, after holding various positions in the private sector, including as chairman of the German branch of asset manager BlackRock. Now, he's known as a hardliner. He represents the right-wing faction of his party. And for a long time in Germany, he was actually best known as the rival of former Chancellor Angela Merkel, whose centrist approach and especially her decision to open Germany's borders during the migration crisis of 2015, he sharply criticised. Now, in terms of his character, he's decisive, a plain speaker, some critics might say a little abrasive. And when it comes to his plans domestically, he's determined to enforce stricter rules on migration and to tackle Germany's flagging economy. Now, internationally, the challenges are very large as well. His priority is making Europe stronger, especially in the face of Russian aggression and the growing perception due to Trump's shaky commitment to NATO that the United States can no longer be fully relied on for defence.
And so what does strengthening Europe look like in practice, and why the desire to lessen dependence on the US?
So making Europe stronger means expanding its military might. Now, the current US administration has made it clear that it will no longer provide Europe with unconditional security guarantees despite its NATO membership. Donald Trump's determination to end the war in Ukraine by speaking directly to Vladimir Putin without involving Europe, this really marked the end of transatlantic relations in the form that they've been known since the end of World War II. Now, in concrete terms, Friedrich Merz will have to increase defence spending and perhaps form a kind of European defence alliance that would exist alongside or even instead of a weakened NATO. He may also have to ask France and the UK to share their nuclear protection with Germany because Germany doesn't have a nuclear weapon of its own.
And so what challenges will Friedrich Merz face in his goal of making Europe stronger and more independent?
So definitely the biggest challenge will be maintaining unity. So one positive is that Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer, he's keener to restore good relations with the EU than his predecessors were. And in fact, the UK has just announced an increase in its defence spending. But among the EU's 27 member countries, there are many competing interests. If you take Hungary, for example, its leader, Viktor Orban, recently vetoed certain EU sanctions on Russia. And he generally has a more favourable view of Trump's approach than his EU counterparts do. Budgetary issues, they are an additional concern. Overall, the EU's economy is lagging behind that of the United States and China, and putting more money into defence may be a bit of a hard sell. So Merz will really have to make a compelling case for European unity, and that could mean outlining just how big a risk the continent faces from Russia and its allies if it fails to act now.
OK, we'll leave it there. Kate Ferguson in Berlin. At least 18 people have died in a bus crash